It's not often we talk directly about supplements on this channel because I like to focus on the big levers, just diet, sleep, and exercise. But today I want to talk about a special supplement, and that is magnesium. Now, magnesium is a little bit more than a supplement. It's a mineral, an element that typically we would get from our diet. There's a lot of tasty foods that are really high in magnesium. My personal favorite source of magnesium is spinach because I also get a lot of vitamin K from there. But there are a lot of other food sources that you can get it from, as you can see here in this infographic. Now, magnesium is key because it's probably one of the most widely used cofactors in the body. At least 300, if not 500 or more different processes utilize magnesium to some extent. But there are kind of three major areas that magnesium is absolutely critical to athletes, people that don't necessarily have a well-balanced diet, really just about anybody. Among its myriad of uses, magnesium is most beneficial to us in the area of bone health, nerve function, and blood glucose management. Low magnesium levels is a contributory factor to osteopenia, so especially post-menopausal females, but really anyone that is getting older and not doing their fair share of resistance training, definitely a concern. In terms of nerve function, magnesium is key because it's sort of like the blocker in the action potential in nerve function. So what do I mean by this? In muscles, for instance, there's a calcium ion that precedes the actin and myosin filament cross-bridging, the muscular contraction, and magnesium kind of fills in a gap to block that action. So it's, in a sense, antagonistic to the action potential. This is why magnesium is great for sleep and relaxation, because it quite literally gets in the way of action. If that was a bunch of science-y gobbledygook to you, just look at this infographic where the magnesium ion is like Dikembe Mutombo to the calcium ion and is like, nope, you ain't getting through. Then the third kind of big lever that magnesium assists with is in blood glucose management. What are some common causes of magnesium deficiency in a non-disease model? Low stomach acid, excess sugar consumption, and also too much coffee. But also, add to that list, just poor diet. I showed you an infographic earlier with a bunch of food sources that are common in magnesium. That's by no means an exhaustive list. Magnesium's in quite a lot of things. It's just the typical Western diet isn't generally very balanced. People just tend to kind of eat what they like, and a lot of highly processed, palatable foods aren't going to be very rich in micronutrients, magnesium being one of them. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the various forms of magnesium, because this is where a lot of people get confused. There is some specificity to different types of magnesium utilization, particularly in disease models, but for a general discussion, to keep it simple and within my particular scope as a non-medical practitioner, the main forms of magnesium that I recommend over the others for the three primary purposes we discussed earlier, that being bone health, nerve function, and glucose management, would be magnesium bisglycinate or magnesium threonate. And the reason being is those forms are generally the most well tolerated with people's GI tract. What's great about magnesium is, even though it's ostensibly an electrolyte, it's not a thing that is dangerous to overconsume, because once you're replete, you'll just excrete and piss out what you don't need. If you go way over the amount that you need, then you'll be taking a quick trip to the bathroom. With bisglycinate and threonate, this typically doesn't happen until you have a substantial amount of it in you, Whereas with oxide, carbonate, and to some extent citrate, most people tend to get GI distress with a much lower dosage. How do I personally recommend and use magnesium myself? I usually utilize magnesium bisglycinate day to day with 200 milligrams with each meal, and then another 600 milligrams after dinner before bed for sleep quality. That's not a specific dosage recommendation on account of the fact that I am not a very large person. I'm only about 70 kilograms, so you may need more or less depending on whether or not you're deficient and just how large of a human you are. And furthermore, I just kind of settled on those dosages because typically the brands that I purchase my magnesium from come in 200 milligram capsules. So I just have one with each meal for glucose management. That puts me at around 600 milligrams, and then another 6 before, so 3 200 milligram capsules before bed to assist in sleep quality. One last thing on magnesium types. If you go to a non-supplement store, like you're just at Safeway or something, and you grab magnesium off the shelf, generally, especially if it's a cheaper brand, they're going to gas it up with oxide or carbonate, one of those kind of bubble gut type of magnesiums. So it is worth it to spend a little bit more money, and by a little I mean $5-10 more, to make sure you get magnesium from a reputable source like a Now or a Thorne or a Solar Ray, something like that. So that's a magnesium overview, folks. I'd probably say it's my top 3 supplement, behind only a good whey protein and caffeine in terms of efficacy. It's relatively inexpensive, safe, and worth taking just for the boost in sleep quality alone, the myriad of other benefits notwithstanding. Remember, folks, supplements are just that. They supplement, but don't replace the 3 biggest levers, which are sleep, proper nutrition, and exercise. Thanks for watching.